Suddenly it's become silence, or I am not able to hear.
A very warm welcome to everyone this evening. Thank you for coming for yet another session of ELSAConnect. Today we have with us a very, very talented batchmate of mine, Annette Philip, who is logged in all the way from Berkeley. Annette Philip is from the batch of 2003 Journalism Honors. She's a musician, innovator, and influencer. Hailing from Kerala, she is known for her dense choral arrangements, concept-driven productions, sari obsession, and delivering on big dreams. Creating community through art and conversation is at the core of everything Annette does. She takes this mission global through the internationally acclaimed multi-award winning vocal quartet Women of the World. They perform music in 37 languages. The four singers represent Japan, Italy, India, and USA. They tour the world with concerts, masterclasses, and community building work. Annette is also a faculty member at Boston's Berklee College of Music. Today, she has a session for us on listening. So over to you, Annette. Everyone's been eagerly waiting for this, and thank you very much for
Uh,
joining us at this very early hour in US.
it's good. I'm going to have a productive Saturday. Hi, everybody. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. And this is such an honor for me to be in this circle, in this space, and also being with many generations of LSR alumni. It's really an honor and a delight, and it kind of makes me giggly a little bit because LSR was a place that changed a lot of things for me. I don't know about you, but it was really a turning point in my life. And I am curious to know how everyone is. And so instead of asking, how are you? I have a slightly different question. And we're going to do a poll. Okay. So you're going to see this poll in just a second, and it'll take you about 10 seconds. You have to answer very honestly. Okay. If I have everyone's commitment to that. And here we go. So this is my way of checking in with you. You've just got about 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, and tell me how you're doing. And I'll play you some background music because why not? Shona, if you can hear the music, let me know. Just give me a thumbs up. Okay. A few people have voted. I'm seeing if there are more. Yeah, most people have voted. Some people have voted. We have 30 people, so I'm still waiting. Let's see. Sometimes it's hard, while we're waiting for people to vote, I'm really curious. Lockdown, when lockdown started in March, for me at least, I felt, I'm going to get all this work done. I'm going to chill out. And the opposite has actually happened. I think self-care has gone out of the window for me. I don't know about all of you. And let me see. So, has everyone on the screen voted yet? Yeah? Okay. For some reason, I am not seeing this. Huh. Weird. Yumna, I'm not sure why this didn't work, but it's strange that. Let me relaunch this. Technology. All right, very strange. Uh, so I'm not sure why this didn't show up, but it showed up to you, and you all said you voted? That's so interesting. It doesn't actually show up as having any results. Huh. Okay. Do you see results? Okay, somebody should read them out because I don't see any results. Yumna or Shonali, would you read them out to me? Because I actually don't see them.
So I'll read them out.
Yeah.
Okay. So
What's the maximum?
Okay, the maximum is 50%. A hug from a loved one I'm unable to meet.
Oh.
29% say time off to do anything I feel like. 21% say a day of no agenda, no plans, no responsibility.
Wow.
14% a yummy dessert. Then we have a tie between 7% at sleep and something salty, spicy, chatpata.
Okay.
And yeah, no one said
Wow.
bored and no one said other.
Okay, interesting. Well, thank you, Shonali. I might rely on you to read them out because for some reason I'm
No
not
problem.
seeing the answers. That's really interesting, right? So we're missing companionship. We're missing the ability to connect with each other, and that's so interesting. And then people want to sleep. People want a day off to do nothing, and I think that's very telling. As I said just earlier, you know, what we've been feeling is we have all this time and we have no time. And so, with that, I think it's telling us something. Basically, what I want to do through our session today is see if we can tune into ourselves in a slightly more conscious and deep, immersive way. Okay, so I want to do a second exercise with you. And I'm praying that the poll works this time. Let's see what happens. And I want you to hear something. I'm going to sing something for you, just a little bit. And I'd like you to tell me what you hear and what you see. Okay? So here you go. Do you all see this poll? You do. Okay, super. All right. So this is a little thing that I wrote a few days ago when I thought of this session, okay? Son la soye sodo de Sol la soye sodo de o de Son la soye sodo de Son la soye sodo de Cool. So again, I can't see any of the votes. So has everyone somewhat voted? Universe is really having me testing me today to trust. Okay. So have you voted on both the questions? Great. Okay. So I'm ending the poll and I'll share the results. And Shonali, I'd love for you to read them out to me with maybe the highest. I can't hear you, Shonali. Say that once more.
Just a
Okay.
second.
No, I was on mute. Okay. So we have a tie at 27%. No, sorry. Hope is 47%.
Ah,
Nostalgia and joy is 27. And regret and confusion are 0%.
I see. Okay. Okay.
Okay. The next question, blue, green, and red and orange are both at 40%. Pink and purple is at 20, and the other colors are at 0.
I see. Okay. Super, super. And did anyone see any imagery? Like if I were to ask you, you know, what time of day did that sound like it was depicting? Or what season of the year did that feel like it was depicting? Would you write it into the chat? Sunset, okay. And also another question, did it happen in a very small village or do you think it was a busy city? Okay. Goa village. I love that. Pragya said it's very specific. Around a fireplace. Okay, this is amazing. Wow. Yes. Morning, night, sunset, sunrise, spring, monsoon, twilight. Okay, we have everything. Hilltop. Wow. Okay. So the thing is that the answer is basically yes, right? All of the above. It just depends on who's listening. I have a feeling that if I had a different background, like a bluish or greenish background, maybe you would have heard it more as blue green. Or if I had a black, very stark background and I was wearing black, you may have heard it that way. And so interpretation is everything, right? And recently I was reading about Mark Nepo, who is a poet and a philosopher. And he talked about this meeting that he had with a linguist from Nigeria who marveled at the fact that there are about 7,000 languages in the world that we know of. And after their talk that night, Nepo had this realization: if there are 7,000 ways to speak, there's probably 7,000 ways to listen. And listen goes way beyond hearing words. It involves, delving deeper into understanding who we are and who each other is. It's also sort of a doorway, right, to everything that matters. And it it sort of enlivens the heart the way breathing enlivens the lungs. We listen to awaken ourselves. We do this to stay vital and alive. And it's also the way we relate to others and ourselves. It's the building block to meaningful, sincere relationships, and the building block to a meaningful, sincere life. And I feel that nowadays, we're living in a very polarized world where we don't listen to each other, and especially don't listen to ourselves. And I grew up as a musician listening to music in a very specific way. When I was growing up, the melody was everything because I was a singer. And I would say right up until around 2007, which is when I had a very, very bad vocal injury, my voice was my identity. I mean, even beyond music, my voice was my identity. And suddenly, when this injury happened and I believed that I might have lost my voice forever, while still alive, it forced me to really question, okay, well, who am I if I don't have a voice anymore? It was the one thing that I counted on. And it was a really, really painful time in my life when I'm sure many people have felt this. The one thing that they're sure of, it could be a relationship, it could be a career path, it could be for me, my voice, it could be for an athlete, the use of their limbs or their feet or their hands. And as I grappled with this, I realized, maybe I'm more than my voice. And it then changed how I listened to everything, how I listened to music, how I heard myself, how I listened to voices everywhere. I was tuning into lyrics in a much deeper way. I was tuning into nuance and shade and texture and tone and silence and pauses and unspoken words and remnants of sound and decaying sound and lingering energy after a word was said. But it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I started actually listening to myself, not just what I was saying to myself, like my self talk or my inner critic or my inner victim, which I don't know about you, but I definitely have at times. But also, I think what my inner child wanted and knew would make me intrinsically joyful beyond belief. Because I think I was finally accepting who I was and learning that for a long time as I was growing up, and please tell me in the chat if you resonate with this. For a long time growing up, especially while living in India, I felt that, okay, people around me knew me as having a persona or a specific skill set, or a perspective on life. And while I was evolving like any other human being, the external expectation of who I was still very, very strong. And so for a very long time, I felt uncomfortable changing. I felt uncomfortable representing the change that happened. And I was just playing a part. And I wouldn't say what I wanted. I wouldn't talk about, um, how my emotions were changing or evolving. I was more playing the part of me than being me. And if that's happened to you, I'd love to know about that. And similarly to this, you know, as I kept growing and I kept grappling with this injury, I found that even in my teaching, I was seeing this with people around me. And I remember in a class one day, I asked my students at Berkeley to go around the circle and say one thing they were really proud of themselves, and then one thing they wanted to improve. And the students were able to mention 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 things that they hated about themselves or they needed to improve. And most of them got stuck on being able to say even one thing they were genuinely proud of themselves about. And what is that about? You know, I think, especially in India, we are fed with lessons about not being arrogant, not being overconfident, not taking too much space, you know, not speaking too much of the time. And I think over time, our internal dialogue gets skewed. Uh, you know, and not only when dealing with ourselves, but dealing with others, even when dealing with our partners or our spouses, our children, our employees, our mentees, our team workers, the language and tone we use, most of the time, I feel we're not even aware of how we're speaking and why we're speaking that way. So I'd love to do just a very short visualization together, if you'll admit me. Okay. And if it's comfortable for you, close your eyes or lower your gaze. And I'd love for you to think of one experience in your life that was really full of beautiful energy. A moment when you felt intense joy. It could be a birthday or a hug with the loved one that you said you were missing. It could be a place, an extraordinary sunset. It could be an amazing moment of realization. It could be a sensory memory of taste, maybe your mom's, I don't know, omelette or chai. Something comforting, joyful, full of love, full of happiness. And visualize that space in its entirety, the surroundings, the color of the walls, the carpet, if there was one, the time of day. Who were you with? Were you walking? Were you sitting down? Were you laughing? What were the people around you saying? What could you hear? Recreate that beautiful, intense moment of joy in your memory, through your memory, and immerse yourself in that moment. And re-experience the love and the joy and the happiness that is that moment which you're now re-experiencing. And if you're comfortable, take a deep breath in. And as you inhale, feel yourself just inhaling the positive, powerful energy from that moment and exhaling anything that is currently stressing you out. And bring your awareness back to that love, that joy, that moment. And allow anything that you're feeling now to rise. If you're tearing up, allow it. If you're smiling, allow it. If you're feeling sad, allow it. If you're feeling anxious, allow it. And one last time, breathe in and breathe out at your own pace and in your own time. And since this is a moment that you felt joy and likely love, I'd love for you to say these lines with me, to repeat some phrases with me. I love myself. I approve of myself. I am proud of myself. I appreciate all that I am doing and all that my body is doing. I am enough. We'll say it one more time together. I love myself. I approve of myself. I am proud of myself. I appreciate all that I'm doing and all that my body is doing for me. I am enough. And whenever you're comfortable, at your own pace and in your own time, gently and softly, just open your eyes. And I have another set of questions for you. And remember, this is all anonymous, so you can actually be truthful. I believe you see a question in front of you now. And take a moment to reflect and answer. And I'll give it just 5 seconds more in case anyone needs a moment to actually think about it or rethink that feeling. And then Shona, I'd love for you to just gently let us know what everyone shared themselves. Go ahead, Shona, if you see them.
Yeah, so 48% have said that it was somewhat easy, as it's mostly true, just not always.
Mm-hmm.
32% said easy, as I believe it to be true. 16% said a bit difficult, as I doubt it's true. 3% said very tough, as it's mostly untrue. Nobody said impossible.
Okay, thank you. So I think because this is an ELSA meet, we have such a high level of people who actually believe it. And I'm so delighted because I know that I grew up as a woman and also seeing other women put themselves last, you know, and sometimes not externally, but internally having a really odd self-talk, internal dialogue, you know, and so much of self-talk is impacting how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about what we can achieve in life. And I think that was, to come back to the beginning, what LSR did for me. It was the first place that I was able to be myself and also allow myself to change. Self-talk impacts how we feel we're viewed by the world, how we interact with others. It impacts our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our self-image. And it is influenced by our subconscious mind, right? It reveals many thoughts, beliefs, questions, ideas. And it can be encouraging, and yet a lot of times it can be destructive. So if self-talk has such an important impact on us, what are the words that we say to ourselves, and how much loathing, how much suppression is there? And conversely, because interpretation is everything, how much of what people are saying to us are we taking as truth? what are the kind of questions we ask our children, our family members, and ourselves? And I want to end with this question that is so common, right? In every country, which is, how are you? Most of the time, personally, I don't know how to answer that question because I don't fully know. There are days I just can't answer that question, or there are days when my answer is going to take me a half hour to really tell you how I'm doing. And oftentimes people don't want to know, or they don't have the time to hear that. And so what do we revert to? We just say, I'm fine. That's the easiest thing. And so lately, to help me listen better, I've tried asking different questions like, how are you sleeping? Or how does your tummy feel today? If you're very esoteric, you could ask, what's the color of your heart today? Which, again, some people, my partner, Stephen, has no idea how to answer that question. He's like, it confounds me. But yeah, I think that as women, as leaders, as mentors, as sisters, as daughters ourselves, as human beings who are supposedly biologically nurturers, right? Are we really taking time to nurture ourselves? Are we really listening to ourselves? Are we allowing people to tell us exactly what they feel without a filter, without our own interpretation? And are we willing to accept things that we may not want to hear? I don't know. I'm still working on that for myself. So I hope that with everything that's going on around us, with how polarized the world is, and the fact that most of the time we are in an echo chamber, a feedback loop of people who believe the things that we believe, and simultaneously in a time where everything is kind of uncertain and we have all this time at home, that we also realize that we deserve time off, time to ourselves. And we own that. We own that need and we don't suppress it, especially as women. So I'll end with an open-ended question. If you can answer, that would be amazing. What is the color of your heart right now? That's it. And you can type it into the chat. And Madhulika says purple. And if anyone would like to actually talk about why, because for me, right now, it's red and the edges are sort of teal. I didn't get much sleep last night, but at the same time, I don't know, the light here is giving me a lot of warmth and I'm feeling good. So that's where the red comes from. The teal is that I'm a little bit hungry right now. It's early morning. And so that's where I am. And if someone would love to put their mic on and tell us why or where those colors are coming from, I'd love to know. And with that, anyone who feels like it. I think Priya would like to. So go ahead. I don't see Priya, but go ahead if you. Oh, there you are.
She's on mute.
I think she doesn't know how to unmute.
No, she's unmuted now. Hi, Priya.
Okay.
Hi. It was beautiful, your session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ochre and a little bit of rust is what I said, because I truly like those colors, and around me, around the clothes that I wear, everything is in that spectrum, because I just feel that warmth of the colors, and I feel it exudes, and it's also very forgiving of the brick. It can be a burnt brick, or it can be the rust of a tile, or the red mud. So it's very forgiving and very encompassing and very nurturing. So I almost always feel that color.
Wow. That's amazing, Priya.
Not that I'm nurturing and forgiving, but it's just it's an aspiration.
Thank you for sharing that. Would anybody else like to? I mean, just hearing the depth of these explanations is very beautiful. And it's a different way to think about emotion sometimes. Maybe just one more person. And then I think Madhulika said she can. I don't know if Sandhya or, oh, there we go. Madhulika's
Yeah.
here.
So I feel purple is a mix of blue and red. And blue is peaceful and red is energy for me. So I thought of purple that way.
Beautiful. Yeah, if you're reading on the chat, it's so interesting to see where everyone's at right now. So yeah, I think that's all I have today. I really thought about this in 100 different ways, and I had many different things planned, and at the same time, it just kind of flowed this way. So thank you for just spending time together, and thank you for being honest and vulnerable and open and sharing your colors with us. And so grateful. And also, this is the first time I've done a workshop where almost 40% of the people said, I can say these words because I believe it. So, but that really goes to, to show that, I think LSR was strong in that way. Shonali has some sort of surprise. Okay. Oh dear.
Only after you're done. So
Sure.
you have a
I
couple
am
of minutes
so
if
done.
you want to say anything more to the
No,
audience.
I think all I'd love to say is that please keep being your amazing, bright, complex, eccentric selves. I think that's something that I've always felt of people from LSR, no matter what generation. There's something there which I don't know if it was the brick walls of the college or the lawns or the caf or whatever it was, but at the the just something was special there, and I hope that you stay your amazing eccentric selves. Yeah, that's it. And thank you.
Thanks, Annette. I think that was such a soothing, sublime, beautiful session, and of course, very insightful. I'm sure everyone's going to take away something from this today. And can't thank you more for making it on a Saturday and so early in the morning, all for us. And you are our first international speaker, so it makes it all the more special. And I'm so happy I could get you, because I've seen you
So
right
sweet.
from college, from the time you were the president of the Western Music Society, and kind of seen you. We've not been regularly in touch, but kind of seen your journey and where you've reached today. So I had a little surprise also, in the interest of people here who don't know you that well. Maybe I thought we'll do a quick rapid fire. And just so that
Sure.
they get to know Annette as a person a little bit more.
Let's do it.
So you have 5
Let's do it.
seconds to answer each
Oh,
question.
bapre. Okay.
There's no multiple choice like you gave. So okay, so since we were on the topic of colors and we know you have a sari obsession, what is
Yeah.
your favorite color of sari when you're performing on stage?
Oh, depends on the show. I don't have a favorite for performance, but generally favorite color is teal turquoise. Yeah, anything with gold option is like, mwah, love it.
Okay. And what's your favorite state for sari shopping? Which part of India do you absolutely love buying your saris from?
Man, I really actually don't. I've been wearing a lot of Kanjivaram silk, but I'm actually in conversation with a friend now who's trying to veer me off silk, and I'm studying about that right now because she feels that it's not great for the environment, and there are lots of other reasons. So I have a huge bunch of Kanjivaram sarees, which now I am reconsidering. Uh, yeah. But I
Okay.
love kota. I mean, all sorts of saris. Sari is a very unfair question because you're making me choose and I really cannot.
That was the idea. So where will we find Annette when she's not practicing, teaching, or touring? Where are we most likely to find you?
I love my plants. I have very few now because of the touring schedule. But I have a new plant called Hervey, and
Ooh.
he's amazing. He's a jade plant. He's growing a lot, and I'm thinking I might have to replant him. And there were also, I'm in New York right now, and there were a lot of plants here that were left abandoned sort of for 2 months. And they were completely, I've never seen so many dead leaves on any plants. There were 7, and they've all come back to life. So anytime I have time, I am singing and talking to plants. And that was actually my job. My chore at home was to water plants when I was a young child. And my mother, for some reason, told me that I must. I must sing to them. So they were my first audience. And so I'm forever in love with plants.
Okay. And speaking of audiences, an audience of 30 or an audience of 300, what do you prefer as a musician?
It shouldn't matter. Some days it's easier with 300. It's easier. With 30, it's very vulnerable. And if I'm in that space, it's fine. And if I'm not, it's fine. I have to make it through. So
300 then. One musician you would love to perform with, someone you've not performed with, like your dream musician, dream collaborator.
he passed away, actually. It's a pianist called Esbjørn Svensson.
Okay.
And he composed my favorite song of all time, which is called Believe Bereft Below.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you've performed with A.R. Rahman and collaborated. So I'm going to make this a bit of a trick question. A.R. Rahman or the Carpenters, the bigger influence in your life?
Carpenters.
The Carpenters.
Yeah, Karen Carpenter.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you could go back to college as a student and do one thing differently for yourself, what would that be?
I wouldn't. It was great. You know what? It was so great. I can't imagine doing it any different.
Okay.
Wow. Maybe more visits to, I had never gone to what was that place called? Lado's Online, the place that had blueberry cheesecake. What was that? Big Chill.
Big
There
Chill,
was a
yeah.
Big Chill near college, and I was very conservative, and I was also at that time half the year on Lent, and I would never have dessert when everybody was having dessert. So maybe I would do more blueberry cheesecake with the WMS team.
Okay. And now this
Random
is
answers.
my personal curious question. How many saris does Annette own?
I don't know. Enough.
That's a diplomatic answer. Do we are talking hundreds or thousands? At least give
No,
us
no, not even 100.
not even 100.
No. Maybe not even 50.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah, yeah.
believe you, Annette, but I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
get to 100 someday.
Maybe not silk anymore. Let's see.
Okay, it doesn't have to be silk, it can be cotton, it can be chiffons or whatever. But that ends my rapid fire. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad you participated. I hope it was fun. The floor is open for questions. Whoever would like to ask Annette anything, just request you all to put it in the chat and we'll go in order.
Snimmer, I will not. She's saying don't give up on silk. I'll do my best.
Oh God, no questions. Come on, guys. I think everyone, I've been seeing these chats where people want you to sing. They
Sing.
don't want you to
Can I do that
actually go and
last?
sing.
Can I do it as we end?
Yeah, you can definitely. So guys, we have time. Let's.
Actually, I'm still thinking about the color in my heart and trying to answer.
Talk about that. Yeah.
No, in the sense that I'm still figuring out why did I choose that color. So you've taken us into a journey which is so beautiful. And thank you for that. It's something very different and unique, Annette. And it's really, I'm stuck on that at the moment. My color was pink, and the first thought was pink, and I'm still figuring out an answer to tell you. So that's been beautiful. So I'm going to maybe after maybe a few minutes, I'll come back to you. But thank you for that. It's never happened before, these kind of questions, and it's been beautiful.
I'm glad. Yeah, I think it is important. And I mean, even yesterday I was reading in the news 2 more actors died by suicide. And,
Yeah.
there's a lot of unrest right now. And without going into details, on a daily basis, ever since I started this thing called Keeping It Light online. And on a daily basis, I have people I don't know of all ages who write in and say, I think I'm done with this life thing. Like their first message is, I don't think I can carry on. Like, I don't know how to move on. I'm stuck, or I don't have a way out. And I'm really considering ending my life, and this is every day. There's at least 1 or 2 people who reach out, and maybe it's happening right now because those sessions are about reflection and things like that. And I think maybe we have to be asking ourselves and each other different types of questions, because something's got to change. And it's got nothing to do with teenage angst. It's got nothing to do with midlife crisis. It's every gender and all ages possible, from students to people in their 60s, to you name it, mothers, you name it. And so, yeah.
Hi, Annette, can I ask you?
Yeah.
So I'm Smita. I'm sorry, I'm in too dark a room to put on,
Oh,
but my
good.
photo does more than justice to me. So I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned about, being influenced by views of others, like seeing yourself, because of others' expectations. And that rings a common note between so many of us, not just your students, but a lot of women too. Yeah, it's a gender issue. So I just wanted you to share if, when did you begin to realize yourself? When did you start shedding the weight of other people's expectations to what you become now, which is, I'm good myself and I'm enough, which is what you shared with us also.
Well,
when and how did that change?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Smita. And first of all, I do want to say that I'm not there yet. Even yesterday, someone made an offhand comment to me about my art. And I really, it just kind of smacked me in the face. And, especially since I've gone through this vocal injury, and like, I'm still working on that, that even the smallest seemingly insignificant comment to me, is very crushing. And it really, it hurts, it pricks. And it wasn't enough for me to think that, okay, this is not true. This is probably just a thought. It's not reality. It's someone's perception. It's someone's interpretation of my art. Uh, it wouldn't go. Like, I couldn't shake the feeling off till yesterday. I was here. It was right after my session. And I had to say, this is not true. I had to say it to myself about 15 or 20 times. This is not true. This is someone's interpretation. This is not real. These are just words. This is just a phrase. And to answer the specific question, I think the realization happened actually when I moved to Boston from India, which was in 2006. And I was supposed to go to Berkeley for 1 or 2 semesters. I ended up staying for many more years. I mean, I'm still there. And I think coming to a new place and realizing that nobody knew me there was the first step. of realizing, I actually do not have to carry this baggage with me anymore. And then going back to India, it's only, I would say, 2018, when I was back in India, I was fully my current self. And it came with a lot of years of being myself in Boston, going back to India, and again putting on that role, putting on the clothes of, whatever people thought I am, and the way I'm supposed to talk and behave and think and dress and everything. So it's a work in progress, Smita. I don't have a complete answer, but the geographical shift helped me more than anything else, and jolted me, I think, out of
Yeah,
that
thank
space.
you. Thank you. And also about the work in process, it's always work in process with all of us. And
Yeah.
another time you hear somebody's negative comment on your art, just fold it in a paper and bin it and think of all of us.
Oh, so sweet. Hee hee.
Really.
So
Thank you so much.
Damini had a question. Can we?
Lado.
Hi, honey. So good to see you.
Hi.
So I'm going to ask you a kind of quasi personal question because I've known you a long time.
Yeah.
And, even though we are out of touch, I still feel very, very connected. And I listen to your Keeping It Light videos when I can.
Oh.
So I wanted to ask you because I always remember, to me, I always feel you have such a beautiful, very sacred relationship with music. And uh, is there any difference now? It's been 15 years since we were in college together. And do you think there is any difference in how personally you feel about music in terms of singing or performing and vis-a-vis teaching? Is there any difference for you now, 15 years down the line?
Yes, Lado, that's such a great question. So something that not a lot of people know is that um, so one of the things that was happening in school and college was that the primary medium for expression were these inter-college or inter-school competitions, right? And so I had never asked to represent the school or the college, but it started to happen. And my parents had a lot of conversations with me about not stealing too much limelight, and not taking all the opportunities and things like that. And I remember arguing, oh, just because I'm good at something, should I not do it? Is it really necessary for me to go play ping pong because I suck at ping pong, but that way I won't take anybody's limelight? Like, really, what should I do? And it stuck with me for a long time. And I'm not saying that it was my parents' fault. I'm not at all saying that, because I think our parents do their best to raise us and expose us to things in the best way that they know how. At the same time, how we internalize something or interpret something for ourselves can often be that turning point. And I think that after all these years, 13 years after I had that injury, Lado,
Yeah.
this year I realized that somewhere that concept of don't take too much space was related in some weird, crazy way to the vocal injury, which was related in some way to me also trying to create as many different types of platforms. Like, there was a shade of this thing: don't take space, dim your light, don't shine too bright because it's unnecessary. It was related to the injury. It was related to a lot of life decisions. I still wouldn't do it any differently. And I think the biggest change since back in college till now is that I'm now unlearning the unnecessary um, concepts that I think have been holding me back for many years. And so actually, a month ago, for the first time, I created a YouTube channel and I started putting music out. After I still don't have a personal album. I've done millions and millions of songs for other people, with other people, but I think there's been this kind of guilt and shame in myself for just expressing. And I'm not talking about expressing vocally. I'm great at being able to share and being vulnerable. But the music aspect, yeah, there's been a lot of shame and guilt. And then The Injury was a great movie to keep playing in my head for years and years. And it kept me in a very safe space where I didn't have to be truthful with myself. So I guess that's the biggest change. Yeah. And teaching has been difficult with The Injury. It's been very humbling. And at the same time, I think I'm a better teacher for it, you know?
Oh,
So
wow.
it's
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
a little
Julie.
wacky.
Yeah.
It's kind of apparent also in looking at you and seeing your channel up and things like that, because you're normally very staying away from the limelight kind of person for someone who's very much in the limelight. So,
Yeah, it's like, how can you be unseen while being visible
yes.
all the time? Yeah, and I think I'm realizing that it's not serving me or anybody else by continuing to dim my light. And so I'm trying to be unabashedly, here I am. I will
Yeah, but I
bring my
think
own chair to the table.
I think a lot of women grow up with that. I don't know if it's only in India or if it's in the West as well. But I think there's so much of, don't show how good you are, or,
Yeah, modesty is overrated. You know, modesty and humility are both overrated, especially for women, because there's some sort of notion that shining completely is non-feminine. So I don't know that I believe it
And I
anymore.
think there's a fine line between, standing in your own truth and, talking endlessly about yourself. That you don't have to veer away from, standing strong in your own truth without, being egoistic or anything like that. And that's,
Yeah.
I think it's difficult for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. The difference between pride in oneself and arrogance, and most of the time it being thought of as arrogance versus simply just being proud of ourselves.
Yeah, more so for women.
Okay, sorry guys, in the interest of time, I have time for one more question from Juhi. Juhi, can you turn your camera on? And
Am I audible? Am I
She's
visible?
right. Juhi's
yes,
right there.
yeah, she's there.
Hi, Annette, and thank you for the great session. I remember having the absolute joy of watching Annette rehearse and perform while I was in college. So I'm from the batch of 2005, DramSoc, and also political science, incidentally. So my question was that, as a musician, as a performer, etc., how tricky is it for you to just sit back and enjoy a piece of music without getting caught up in the nitty-gritties of the technicalities? Like most of us, at least if I speak for myself, I'll get up in the morning, put on some music, make my chai and go about the business without really getting caught up in, oh, but that happened, oh, but that happened. So as a musician, do you face any such issues, if I may say?
Yeah, actually, most days when I come home, I need to listen to nothing because there's so much sound around me all the time that I spend sometimes I just look at a blank wall. It's also the reason that in my house, I have very little art on the walls. I keep my walls very bare because I think over time I've realized that I'm too empathetic and I'm always absorbing sensory texture and taste and color and sound, and like I'm always absorbing that it's too much. So I keep my walls very bare, and I find that I can't listen to too much music a lot of times, and a lot of years the only music I'm listening to is music that I'm creating with someone else or rehearsing or learning, and I'm not as much listening to music to relax. However, when I'm really upset or occasionally I can't sleep, I have one or two songs that I listen to day in and day out. And I find a lot of comfort in that. And I've also now created for my alarm clock, I have a Bobby McFerrin song that is my alarm clock because I cannot wake up with a, this is just, it's like, no for me. So I'm always made fun of because I sleep very soundly. But that song, it's called Common Threads, And the song starts with a deep inhale that Bobby McFerrin does. So he goes, la la. And the thing is, I wake up with just that inhale is enough. And I'm up, like no oversleeping, no extra need for multiple alarms, except today I did. But yeah, so it's cool. I actually don't listen to a lot right now. And you're right. I can't, sometimes I watch a movie and it's just like, oh my God, that chord was amazing. Ha ha. Just want to eat the music up. So yeah. Thank you for the
Thank
question,
you.
Juhi.
Thank you for the lovely session, Annette.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great question, guys. And but we have a time limit, like you all know. Of course, after we go off live, then we can all hang out and ask her more. But there's been a popular request and demand from everyone for Annette to sing. So 2 minutes, just something quick before we announce the next session on Tuesday.
Totally. Okay. So again, to Lado's question, this is so not like me because usually I will not. So this time I am trying to stay in the nurturing space for myself. So I'm going to sing that song that I mentioned, Believe, Be Left Below, by Esbjørn Svensson. It's by his trio. He passed away a few years ago. And this is my favorite song of all time. It's got, I think, 8 lines in it. It's very short and it makes me very happy and also very sad at the same time. So it's called Believe, Be Left Below. If we meet again, I'll tell you how I feel. I'll tell you from the start. I'll tell you love is real. How everything we say and everything we do has been preordained to bring true love to you. Nothing else is right. Nothing else is pure. You will know for sure once you've seen the light. If we meet again, I'll tell you how I feel. I'll tell you love is real.
That was wonderful. So thank you, Annette. That was really so sublime, so soothing. And you have such a beautiful voice. I hope you carry on and reach all your dreams and goals from whatever you want, we wish come true. Thank you for making it. And with that, we'll officially close this session. But before that, I'd like Yumna to announce the next session, which is on Tuesday. So over to you, Yumna.
Annette, my heart is racing. I feel like I'm about to go on stage in front of 1,000 people, and it's because of you. That song just swept me along. It's done something to me. I don't know what it's done. It's done something really, really deep.
I'll send it to you later.
Oh, I've heard it, but when you sang it, you did something to me. So thank you. Thank you for singing. And thank you for putting yourself out there. And thank you for recognizing that you share inner pieces of your soul every time you do. And I know it's difficult, but thank you for doing it here. Kisses. Okay. All right. Okay. So Love Fest paused for a second just to let you know we're going to go into another Love Fest on the 11th. And this is the invitation, right? It's the month of freedom, right? Do you remember being, I don't know, 18, 17, 16, however old you were, when you stepped out of high school life and you walked into this whole new world of peers and possibility, right? When you were at ELSA. That lovely, fantastic melting pot where we forged our first adult selves.
So ELSAConnect in our journey, and this is our 80-something session, has kept inviting those of us who attend back into that space of discovery and articulation and deep connection. And we're at the point where we're looking back at where we started from and trying to determine the route that we take forward. And we invite you all to come and have a discussion. There are going to be lots of people sharing what ELSAConnect has meant to them. I invite you to share what ELSAConnect has meant to you. We have people who've edited our videos, people who started the whole concept. So Vandana, looking at you there. People who reel everybody in through love, looking at you, Neelu. So curators, people hosting, people who've spoken. But really come there because it is for us to determine what ELSAConnect will mean to us going forward. So it's a session on ELSAConnect. It's on the 11th, which is Tuesday. It's at 4 p.m., which is our regular time. And I hope you all will make it. Thank you. Back to you, Shona. Thank you, Yumna. Thank you, guys. And Sandhya, are we going to stop live now?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, we'll stop it. Ready?
Yeah. I think we are, unless anyone has now floors open, you guys can ask whatever.
I had a question, I think,
We can
Sandhya.
still chat.